released her sophomore album Bewitched a few months ago and immediately received critical and commercial success. Her single From the Start has gained 110 million listeners on Spotify. Her album discusses big emotions like falling in love, being left behind, being heartbroken, following your dreams. The Icelandic Chinese singer-songwriter Laufey is currently labeled as a jazz savior by Gen Z, with critics applauding her jazz-infused songs for their commercial success in a genre that is said to be completely vanished. With over 135 million likes on TikTok and 21 million monthly listeners on Spotify, Laufey has broke the internet. Laufey was born in 1999 to a Chinese Icelandic family. She rose to fame in the early 2020s as a jazz performer, citing Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday as her jazz inspirations, while Taylor Swift and Adele as her pop influences. She had a musical ear from a very young age. Being born in a family where her mother is a classicist violinist, her grandpa is a violin instructor, and her identical twin plays the violin. She was also a finalist in Iceland Got Talent and The Voice Iceland, and she performed as a cello player in Iceland Symphony Orchestra as a 15-year-old. She released her debut single Street by Street in 2020. And it charted as #1 in Icelandic radio. She launched her first EP, Typical of Me, in 2021, which included Street by Street and 6 other songs. The EP is a blend of pop, jazz, R&B, and it is known for its romantic melodies and sounds. In 2023, she was signed to Warner Chappell Music, with which she released her sophomore album, Bewitched. It was met with massive success, earning her her first Grammy nomination as Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album. Although she was working on a music that was inspired by Ella Fitzgerald and Chad Baker, and this doesn't exactly sound like a recipe for Gen Z to get obsessed with, but her music resonated deeply with younger audiences. Her first single has been streamed for over 240 million times since its release, and From the Start has been streamed 200 million times on Spotify. Upon the release of this album, it has proven to be an extremely successful project, managing to garner 1 million streams in the first 24 hours of its release, becoming one of the most streamed jazz albums. The 24-year-old multi-instrument artist has built a substantial following on social media, where she is known as the Jazz Girl. She uses these platforms to interact with her fans, to see her fans' reaction upon listening to her songs. She shares a lot of memes, she responds to a lot of memes. She hosts a book club with over 3 million followers on TikTok and 2 million followers on Instagram. Laufey has found her audience. Even before her album, several of her live online performances has gone viral in 2020. And early on in her career, Typical of Me has earned shout-outs from Billie Eilish and Willow Smith.
Well, Billie, I think I covered one of her songs. I did like a cover of I forget the name, My Future, is that what it's called? Yeah. And because it's such a jazzy song.
So what is the deal with Laufey? Upon the release of this YouTube video titled How Laufey Has Revived the Worst-Selling Music Genre, it has basically illustrated that Laufey has single-handedly revived the jazz genre and that the jazz genre has died and no one is listening to it. She revived it, she made it accessible, she made younger audiences become interested again in jazz,
kind of taking away honestly like the snobby shells of those genres and kind of want to make it more accessible for a younger generation.
She has basically put jazz back again on the map. Then Spotify started labeling her as jazz, but the video was not well received, with hundreds of comments disagreeing and seeing that this video is really overrating her. Is Laufey Jazz by Adam Neatley was posted as a response to that video to help better illustrate what kind of music Laufey was producing. In the video, Adam says that Laufey is not jazz. And this is a bombshell. He labels it as mid-century pop because in order for it to be jazz, certain elements and certain traits has to be existing in it. Like an improvisation, it has to be some sort of a conversation between the band members, and that Laufey's music is more of Disney music theater inspired kind of music. It's easygoing, melodic, and tune-based. Framing Laufey as jazz doesn't come from a place of knowledge and awareness of the genre, because when you take a genre that is so steeped into a certain culture with its own certain rules and strip it away from all of its elements, it's not that genre anymore. Clips of Gen Z singing blah 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 along with Laufey thinking that they're actually listening to jazz doesn't quite sit right.
She's so perfect, blah, blah, blah. How I wish you wake up one day.
You cannot create a speed up version of jazz music on TikTok.
For years and years, now I have it, and damn it, it's kind of weird.
But let's talk about genre categorization. Genre categorization was basically initially made to categorize music similar to other music. So when you listen to a song that you like, you try to listen to more songs from the same water. So in order to make your hunt easier, genres were created. When artists became boundary pushing and genres started to blend together, subgenres were created like punk rock, hyper pop, alternative rock, and so on. If you want to enter a genre, if you want to create a music that belongs to a certain genre, you'd have to know the elements and the rules with which the genre is categorized in the first place. After you know the rules, you study the rules, you respect the rules, you create music with these rules, and later on you can push these rules. You can break the rules and start to make your own thing. You'd also have to understand the community behind the genre. Jazz is a Black African music. It belongs to a community. It belongs to a genre. It's a language of people. In order to enter this community, you'd have to respect the rules and respect the language of this community, or else it's culture appropriation. In order for Eminem to become one of the best rappers of all time, although he didn't look like your typical rapper, he had a life similar to those rappers. He came from similar neighborhoods. And above all, he respected the already existing community. When he did all of that, he started to create groundbreaking music. He became a legend. He was endorsed by big names like 50 Cent and Dr. Dre and Jay-Z. He respected them and they respected him back. They didn't see him offensive. They didn't see him trying to whitewash the genre or anything.
He is one of the most important people to me and to my career. He just never participated in anything negative against me, just wanted me to win the entire time.
The thing I was thinking about when I was listening to the music was that he was a white guy. It never even crossed my mind. While everyone else around me had their doubts, I knew that his gifts were undeniable.
That's right.
The thing is that Laufey brands herself as a jazz savior, and that there is a lot of gatekeeping in the genre, and this should be stopped, that younger audience should be able to listen to jazz, and that the jazz genre is dying. I think that's too much talking.
It's just been kind of gate-kept. The barriers to entry are so high. You feel like you need to be educated in jazz music to even speak about it.
Artists like Tyler the Creator and Kendrick Lamar do use jazz influences in their songs and do use a lot of jazz samples in their songs. But they don't claim that they are creating jazz music. They don't claim that jazz is dying and that they are reviving it by using it again. They know it's there. They know it's successful in its own community. Jazz is meant to be different than pop. Jazz is a way of communication between the band members. It's harmonic, controlled chaos. It's a way of letting off steam. It's a way of honorable competition between the band members. Jazz is not dead. Jazz is there and it's thriving. At the 2023 Grammys, Samara Joy won the Grammy for Best New Artist.
Samara Joy!
She is playing jazz, and that's her second Grammy. Sorry, but if Laufey is actually making jazz music, not that many people would have listened to her. Again, jazz is not accessible as pop, but I think she created pop songs and labeled them as jazz. And she claims that she's pioneering the revival of the genre. She's the face of jazz playlists on Spotify. Try listening to a Samara Joy song and then a Laufey song. Sounds different. But try listening to a Taylor Swift song and then a Laufey song. Kind of similar. I feel like she's emulating the jazz genre. She's not actually contributing to it. If we throw all of this drama, all of this genre categorization, I'm against categorizing. I think every artist should do whatever they want. I honestly adored Bewitched by Laufey. It's one of my most replayed albums of the year. It swayed me away. It transported me into her own fantasy world. Bewitched is a step up in every single way. With her crystalline voice, outstanding instruments, and idealistic lyrics, the mood that Laufey creates is just out of this world. It's heavenly, it's breathtaking. I am absolutely in love with her second album.
And damn it, it's kind